If you're tired of how you feel, tired of how you look, tired of your job, or just being tired of being tired, then this is the podcast for you. It's time to find your passion in life and take back your health and regain control of your life. This is the David A. Specht Show. Now, here's David.
That's right. You have tuned in to the David A. Specht Show. This is the place to be to improve your life today, to learn some valuable tools and to go do something about them. I am your host, David A. Specht. As a point of introduction, I lost 125 pounds on a wonderful plan over the last, I did it over 10 months, and I was inspired to share my journey with others. And as such, I became a health coach, and now I have started a podcast to help people do their best life, have their best life now, because we all have the power within us to live our best lives and be the best version of ourselves. So today, first off, I would like to thank everyone who has taken the time out to go to iTunes, to subscribe, to leave a review or a rating. I am so appreciative of that. That is really what drives this. Not that I'm looking for recognition, but just to get some traction, to know that what I'm doing is helping somebody else. And so I am so very thankful for that and so very pleased at how things have been going in that area. But today we're gonna dive on in, if that's okay with you. We're gonna dive into something that really didn't mean a lot to me until recently. And then when I became aware of it and the importance of it in my life, I realized that it was a major part of how I've become the person I am today. And that is the importance of a coach. The importance of a coach. Now, many of us think of the term coach and we think of the football field or the basketball court or, gymnastics. I always think of, like Mary Lou Retton and there's Bella Lugosi and the whole him and her, during the Olympics. But did you know that we could use coaches in many aspects of our lives, that it's not just limited to athletics? You see, a coach, I define a coach as this: someone who can see more in you than you can see in yourself and is willing to do whatever it takes to help you reach that potential. That is my definition of a coach. And as I became a health coach, I realized that what I was doing to help others, people had done for me over the years, and more than just in the area of health. Now, I am so thankful for my health coach. If it wasn't for my health coach and the community and the habits of health and the nutrition, etc., I wouldn't have been able to do what I did over the last year. But can I tell you, it was the day in and the day out with my coach that probably made the biggest difference in my life. It was that accountability. It was that encouragement. It was the tools for success. And that was a big help. And as I was thinking about that, I was reminded of something that happened to me when I was in the 10th grade. Yes, boys and girls, let's turn on the Wayback Machine. Let's get in the time machine and go back to 1984. 1984. So I had just moved to a new city. I was not athletic. By the way, I'm not athletic now either. But anyway, I digress. I moved to a new city and I decided I wanted to be on the football team. And when you go into high school on a football team, whether you play or not, every gym class is weightlifting. Excuse me while I drink a lovely cup of Java. And so I was in weightlifting class, a weakling, 15 years old, 16 years old, somewhere around there, probably 15. And I remember Tuesdays and Thursdays were leg day. And one of the main exercises that we did on weights was the power clean. Now, for anybody who's ever been in the gym, you know that the bar itself weighs 45 pounds and you add weight to it and that adds up to it. And when you get to 135 pounds, you put the big 45-pound weights on the barbell. I was power cleaning just fine until I got to the 45s. And week in and week out, I would try to power clean this 135 pounds And I would get it up there, and for some reason, there was this block that I just did not believe I could do it. And I would always drop down the weights. Well, the weight room coach, who was also the wrestling coach, his name was Sonny Blackwelder. I will never forget that man as long as I live. He was an Auburn fan, and as a Florida fan, we kind of clashed. He usually got the win on that one with me. But I remember him coming out of his office one day, and he said, "Specht, you're pulling those weights plenty far up to get underneath them and power clean them. You need to get that taken care of." And I said, "I'm trying." You ever had that reaction like, I'm trying to do it, but it's not working for me and I just don't know how to do it. And you're just like frustrated. Well, he used a little bit of, shall I say, motivation. He came out with I'm pretty sure it was a broomstick. And he said, "Specht, if you don't power clean that weight on the next rep, I'm going to crack this stick on the back of your thighs." And I believed him. Back then, you believed him. You know what I mean? You believed him. I power cleaned that thing so fast and did 3 more right after it. No lie. But it taught me a very valuable lesson, and that was this. Whatever my block was, he had to get me past it. And as a coach, he saw that he had a tactic or a tool or a technique that he knew would get me past that block, because it was a mental block. It wasn't a physical block. I could do the work. I could power clean the weight. But he saw in me more than what I could see in myself. And so he used his quote unquote technique to inspire me to do that. Since that day and over the years, I've had various people. You can call them coaches. You can call them mentors. But I've had people that have spoken into my life time and time again that helped me become more than what I thought I could become on my own. And that is why a coach is important. That is why being a leader is important. Every one of us has somebody that we're leading. Every one of us should have somebody that we're following. Now, you may not have the advantage of having an in-person coach or an in-person mentor. And so what you do, now listen, boys and girls, get your notepads out and take these notes. When you don't have the ability to hire or to find or to follow somebody in person, you can still follow people who lead well. Let me say that again. You can still follow people who lead well. We live in an age of social media. We live in an age of YouTube videos. We live in an age of just ready access to people and information. Look for people that are good leaders and follow them. They could be friends of yours on Facebook. They could be authors, speakers. They could be pastors, teachers, whatever you need. Start following those people. Because let me tell you something. That person, whether they know it or not, can be a coach and a mentor to you. I love listening to podcasts. That is one of the reasons why I do a podcast. And I get so inspired by the people that I listen to that have been where I've been, or they're in a completely different area, but have very similar things happen that I need to learn from. Here's a perfect example. I love listening to Dave Ramsey. Now, Dave Ramsey is a financial, what would you say? The word escapes me right now, but they deal in hope. They help people get out of debt. Okay. You can assign any title that you want to it. But here's what Dave Ramsey does. He takes people through a process, and it's the same process, the baby steps over and over and over again. And if you listen to him and you listen to his radio show and you listen to his EntreLeadership podcast and you listen to the things they do and you read his books, all of a sudden the lessons that Dave is teaching begin to permeate your being to where you begin to adopt those things and you desire those things and you desire to live your life in that way and you desire to make those changes. And even though you're not having a daily conversation with Dave Ramsey, he is influencing your life for the better. Another one that's a favorite of mine, you may or may not like him, is Gary Vaynerchuk. Now, Gary, he has he has colorful language. Let's just put it that way. But the information that he teaches, the things that he knows, the insights that he brings are invaluable. And if you're able to get past the language, you can walk away with some wonderful nuggets and some great inspiration and some great tools, actual practical do today, do tomorrow, do the next day tools. And so I listened to him, Doug Wood. If you don't know who the real Doug Wood is, you need to find out. Doug will speak to your life. He will get in your ear via his podcast, and he will challenge you to be better than you are today. He will challenge you to live your life out loud. He will challenge you to be the best version of yourself. And so those are some of the virtual people that I follow. And like I said, if they inspire you, I encourage you to follow them as well. There's another group, and that's your in-person people, the people that you come into contact with each and every day, the people that you see out there that are winning. Let me tell you, people love helping others succeed. Really successful people are not threatened by someone else's success. Really successful people, the true successful people, want to help others see success. And if you can find those type of people in your neck of the woods, you need to latch onto them, and you need to just go under their wing and be a sponge and take in everything that you can take in, and also listen and do what they tell you to do. It could be your pastor. It could be a business leader in the community. It could be a health person, someone like a personal trainer, the owner of the gym. It could be a nutritionist. It could be somebody who's just seeing success, wild success in their life. But I'll tell you what you should not do. Don't begin to follow someone in person and then pick apart how they do things. How they do their life is not going to be necessarily how you should do your life. And they don't need you to tell them that is not the way you would do things. Remember, you're looking to them to follow their success. And again, not saying you do everything that they do, but take the precepts, take some of the things that they work on, that you know, some of the disciplines that they have, and pattern yourself after those. My pastor says something a lot of the times when he's dealing with commentaries about the Bible. He says, eat the meat and spit out the bones, which in short means take the things that are useful to you and the things you disagree with, just get rid of them. Just don't dwell on them, because there's some value to be given in so many ways, in so many different areas of our life, that we don't have to do everything exactly the same way. You may listen to this podcast and say, Dave, you're crazy on that aspect of listening to Vaynerchuk. I mean, he's just a foul-mouthed New Yorker. Why do I want to listen to him? Fine. But I've listed to you 3 different people. So take the other 2 and throw out the one. That's how we do life. That's how we better ourselves. A third aspect of being coached, the written word. There are books upon books. There are shelves upon shelves of business books, of personal development books. Find people that have really done something with their life. Find people who are successful in their own right, and begin to read what they have to say. Again, eating the meat, spitting out the bones. Well, Dave, I can't afford to go to Barnes and Noble all the time. I don't go to Amazon all the time and look for books and stuff. Hello. Every community has a library. Every community has a library. And that library has a nonfiction section. And in that nonfiction section are personal development books, business books, etc. My personal library, let me hit you with some knowledge. The very first business book I read, I was inspired by listening to Dave Ramsey's radio show. I would listen to it on, I think, iHeartRadio, because I was never around when it was on live. So I would listen to it during my commute. And he said that leaders are readers and that you should read a business book, one business book a month. And I was inspired to do so. But I was po. I wasn't poor. I was po. Didn't have the money to go drop $24 on a business book. So I went to my local library. And the first business book that I checked out, was Good to Great by Jim Collins. Amazing book if you're into business. It had these case studies about what differentiated good companies and great companies, which ones that failed and why they failed versus the ones that succeeded, even though they were in the same industry. And I was reading it, and I remember laying in bed at night, and I was just taking it all in and having trouble sleeping because it was so great. You know what I had to do? I was such a slow reader that I had to recheck that book out 2 times before I could get through it all. And it wasn't really, 350 pages maybe. But it started me on a path, and I began to consume more and more books over and over and over again. And those books spoke into my life, and they started letting me see the world and business and leadership in a different light. You know, the only thing that I knew about leadership is what the military taught me during my time in the Air Force and what my dad had taught me in my time in the newspaper business. And there was so much more to learn. And the best place for me to learn was from those that had done it. And that book started me down a path that I am so glad I went down. And it didn't cost me a penny. It just cost me a library card. Now, you may like your ebooks. My understanding is that the library has the ebook checkout apps as well. What I'm saying is there's absolutely no excuse for you to learn from somebody who's been there and done that. It can be in person. It can be in your ears on a podcast or an audiobook. It can be in the written word. But you have to take the initiative to place yourself under a coach, under a mentor, under someone who has been there and done that. If you can do that, your life will improve. You know why? Because you will be inspired to do the work. You will be inspired to do the work, and it'll be something that burns within you that you just can't let go. And you'll be compelled to improve. You'll be compelled to at least try some of the things you're learning. You'll be compelled to step out of your comfort zone. You'll be compelled to work past 5 o'clock. Maybe not for somebody else, but for yourself. Those hours that you would binge Netflix, those hours that you would spend watching the television, those hours that you're YouTubing, now you'll be inspired to go after your own dreams. You'll be inspired to do the extra work and start a side hustle or start another business or lead somebody else within your company or within your circle of influence and spend time mentoring and coaching them. And that's what it's all about, folks. It's about leaving a legacy of people behind us that will be following in our footsteps. An expert is merely somebody who's down the road a few more steps than you are. And we are all an expert to somebody else. So be coachable, find you some coaches, and improve your life. That's going to do it for this episode of the David A. Specht Show. Please, please, please leave some comments in iTunes, leave comments in our social media. You can go to my website at davidaspecht.com and find some more material there. That is a work in progress, but it is coming along quite nicely. And I am just looking forward to sharing more with you. We will be having some guests come on before too much longer, and I'm looking forward to that. But I'll leave you with just this last thought, and it's the same thought I leave you with every time. Applied knowledge is power. Don't just learn. Go out and do and change the world. God bless you.
Thank you for listening to the David A. Specht Show. Remember, words are meaningless without action. So don't just listen, make it happen. Catch you next time.